I'll let you know.
Hey, we're live and Stacy's ready. How are you, Stacy?
I'm so ready. I am just here for the show. I'm excited.
Here for the show. Nice.
Here for-
Everybody, it's that time again, Thursday morning, 10 a.m., and we are Real Estate Now. And we've got a great show lined up today talking about staging in a seller's market and the benefits and why you should. So before we jump into that, like we do every week, want to just check in with our good old friends, the interest rate environment. The primary mortgage market survey done by Freddie Mac every week says rates are jumping up, and they have. In the last 2 weeks, they've jumped up considerably from sub 3% to almost 3.25%. So here we are at 3.17 with a 0.7 fee on it, and we're just still talking about stimulus. We're talking about economic recovery now that everybody's getting vaccinated and the vaccines are making their way into the mass population. So here we go. Recovery. What are we thinking, Stacy? Recovery's going to keep the rates higher? We're bound to turn back down.
I am sticking to my story that we're going to see them turn back down. I don't know.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, if this last week has been any indication, I should have done my vocal warm-ups this morning. I didn't. But if that's any indication, we're seeing some betterment in the last 2 days. And so now we're putting together maybe the third day of betterment going through. And look at that. Katrina's jumping the gun for us. Thank you. Yes. Katrina, we're going to talk about that right now.
Yeah.
So
over the rates. Let's talk about staging.
Yeah, so that's it for rates. It's still a great time. Let's talk about
it's still
staging.
A great time.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're so low. We should show maybe next week, Keith. Like if you really look at like a 30-year chart, I think we've kind of touched on it before. This blip in rates, like the chart is still this way, and then our rates are still way down here. So that's still a great time.
Bouncing on the trough. So
yeah,
right on. Well, we are going to bring our staging expert in, Kathryn, with First Impression Staging and Design. Welcome, Kathryn. How are you doing this morning?
Thank you. I'm great. Thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And we so appreciate your connection with Jay Coe with I'm Third Media. So he's a big supporter of us and us with him. He is of you, and I know.
Oh, Jay is amazing. He just makes my work. I just appreciate Jay greatly.
Yes.
Off the picture, but well, the reason why we want to bring you in today, we've been talking to our real estate friends. We've been talking to our clients that are looking to move up, and they're getting this advice. And I've even fielded the phone call like, Keith, I just got from the real estate agent that I should stage my house, and it's a seller's market. Why are we staging houses in the seller's market? So that we definitely have to address the elephant in the room, Kathryn.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the question that I get asked the most often these days. And here's the reason. Because you're still going to get a great return on investment. What I tell people when I walk into their home right now, and I walk in and oftentimes it's in all states of disrepair, or not disrepair, but discombobulation. Let's just say that, they're moving, they're packing, they've got kids. And I always say to them, you could throw a sign out there and put this on the market right now and the house is going to sell. We know that. I would be lying if I didn't tell you that. My job is to get you the most money, the most offers, the best offers for your house. And we know statistically how you do that is to get the home ready properly to sell. Especially now with COVID, we've got people that buy houses without ever stepping foot in them. From the East Coast, from California, they're doing that based on Jay's video or the photos, and it just makes a huge, huge difference. So that's why you should still stage in a seller's market, because you're still going to get a fantastic return on your investment, even though you can sell it without. So,
when you said that, I just helped a client who's here. They purchased in Montana, and it's a beautiful house, and he goes, one thing that he's never walked foot into this house. He goes, I just loved how it was staged and the furniture, and it just made the house pop.
Right.
Wow, there it is, right there.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. And we are trained to we don't ever cover anything up. We're not supposed to cover anything up, but the intention is to maximize best features of the home and to downplay the features that aren't as fantastic of the home.
Yeah.
And great staging does that, and also helps the buyers form an emotional connection. I know that sounds trite. It sounds like, ooh, but it works, just like what you talked about. People walk in and they're like, oh, this feels like home to me.
Yeah,
So that's why we do what we do.
I think it's a great thing, and I mean, I don't know the statistics about it, but not all of us are blessed with spatial recognition and
For
understanding.
sure.
Like, oh, would my couch and TV
Right.
fit well in here? So that's also a huge benefit for people.
So I have a question to kind of go back to like the beginning of your process, Kathryn. What
Yes.
does that entail? What does it look like? Do people need to be reaching out to you a month before they want to list, 6 months before? What is it? How much time do you generally need?
As soon as they feel comfortable, the sooner the better. And the reason for that is what I was sharing with you before we started. One of the things that I do for a lot of the real estate brokers that I work with is I provide consultations to their clients when they first talk about getting ready to list their house. And basically I go in from top to bottom and help them determine what they need to do to get the house ready to sell so that they can sell it for the most money. And, the time that they're going to need to do that depends on lots of things. Do they have the funds to do that? Do they need to sell the house quickly? It's so different with each and every one, but the sooner the better for sure for that part of it, the consultation piece.
Yeah, you do
and then
personalized consultation, so everything will be
absolutely. I can't even say what a huge difference it makes. And what I was also sharing with you beforehand is that oftentimes sellers will think that they need to do something. And I tell them, you don't need to spend your money on that. Don't wait. That is not nearly as important as this over here. So, it all balances each other out. And then for the staging piece, I just love to have as much notice as possible because, of course, like everybody else, we're busy right now. And some people think we just drive around with a truck full of furniture and art and accessories and can pop it into their house, and we don't. So always the more time, the better. But, we do whatever we need to do. So
I love the consultative part of it. I don't know that everyone out there understands that could just be a piece of it where they pay a few $100. You help them explain what they should be doing. You don't necessarily need to stage it. They can use your advice and get the house ready themselves, or someone can opt for the full stage. So I think it's great.
Absolutely.
That there's options.
Most definitely. Money very well spent. And some of the listing agents that I work with that are the most successful provide that for every single client. It's part of their listing package, and it's how they differentiate themselves. I'm going to do this for you, and I'm going to take a lot of the stress off of you. Kathryn will leave you with a checklist, and you'll know exactly what you need to do. So it works really well.
That's great. So is this like a clean slate thing? Like not everybody is able to like move out of their house, so you guys get an empty house. So is this that you can also do a half and half, maybe the owner's current situation, their couch will work, but their dining set's going to go. How does that work?
We do occupied staging as well. So, in a perfect world, it would be a blank slate. That would be fabulous, but we don't live in a perfect world. We live in a messy world. So, there's options. There's the option, again, of the consultation where I say, move this here, buy these pillows, do this. There's also the option of what we call a partial stage, where we bring in art and accessories, things like that, to supplement what the seller already has. And we spend, a day or a half a day or something like that with them getting that all ready. So we have both. And I just actually hired an interior designer that's going to be her main role in the company to do those owner-occupied stagings.
Wow. So in the world of staging, I think there's also a perception amongst a lot of realtors that I've worked with that like staging's only a certain price point. If you're under this price point, or it's a first time home buyer, very typical basic 900 square foot house, that you shouldn't stage it.
Great question.
Is that still a
I love
thing?
that question.
You know, that's a great question. I was just on a Facebook thread with a staging group yesterday, someone talking about this. Beautiful homes are wonderfully fun to stage. You know, who doesn't want to be in this gorgeous home working and making it even more lovely? The houses that I have seen the most improvement on, and what staging has made the very most difference for, are sometimes these little houses that you go, oh my gosh. And once we're done, they are transformed. And I know that sounds, you know, like a woo, but it makes it makes a huge difference. And some of those have been just our biggest successes. So I truly believe that it is for any price point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. We staged every single house that we've ever sold. So
Yeah.
super important.
That's great.
Yeah.
I have a question that we kind of talked about before the show. How do you in your head stage for real life? I was explaining, I walked through some homes that I walk in, I'm like, I can't live here with 3 kids. Like I
Right.
can't even envision teaching 3 kids at home schooling the way this house is set up, with everything so beautiful and all this stuff.
Right.
How do you kind of balance that? Because you want the home to look beautiful and perfect, and
Right.
you don't want me walking in like, well, mess. Like, what's this
Well,
really
I
gonna look
have
like?
Yeah, exactly. No, I have 2 responses to that. The first one, and I tell sellers this when I'm walking through the house with them for the first time, especially if they're going to be occupying the home. I tell them, we're selling a dream life to people. We're selling what their lives could look like if they lived here. And that's usually when we're in the bathroom and I tell them, there's no scales in a dream life. There's no toilet plungers, you know, put that stuff away. But the truth is, that's one of the things that really, you being one of the exceptions, that's one of the things that really grabs buyers sometimes is, oh my gosh, my life could look like this if I lived here. And what I turn around and say to the seller at that point is, you know what, we know it's not going to. Life is real and it's messy, but it's what they aspire to. So there's that part of it. And then the other part of it is that I in my company, try really hard to stage for the target buyer. So if it's a 5-bedroom house with a lovely big backyard, you know, we're going to have a playroom and a kid's bedroom and that sort of thing, because it's very likely that's going to be the target buyer. So the important thing is hiring someone with the knowledge to stage to the target market, as opposed to, and you know, it could be John and Joe Smith that end up moving in there and they have no kids, but the most likely buyer for this home is probably going to be a family, and we need to stage to that.
It makes perfect sense. Absolutely. When you're staging and going back to the consultation, a lot of folks just think staging is some furniture and some artwork on the wall. You know,
Right.
What else in your design eye are you bringing to the table?
Are we talking about specific items, or are we talking about planning and the reason behind it?
A lot of people, we were speaking earlier, a lot of people want to go in there and do a bunch of demo work and redo the kitchen and do that, where maybe that's not necessary, or
Right.
that they can
Right.
just repaint the cabinets and be
Mhm.
good. You know, are you helping out in the staging discussion there as well?
Absolutely. In 2 ways. The one is in the consultation that we discussed. And what I always say to them is, I'm going to give you my perfect scenario. This is what I know from, you know, almost 20 years of experience will be best in terms of your return on investment, the most offers, the highest offers. You're going to do what you can do with budget constraints and that sort of thing. So we talk about all of those things. And I also tell them, my intention is not just to make your house pretty. My intention is to have an excellent return on investment for the money that you're spending, and a reason behind it. So no, you don't need to rip out those cabinets, but yeah, maybe we need to paint them. We paint a lot of cabinets lately. Um, uh, nobody wants old oak cabinets right now. They want, a
Yeah.
clean, crisp kitchen. Makes a big difference to just paint the cabinets and put some hardware on. You don't need to
Right.
spend $30,000 on new cabinets. So there's
That
lots of
is,
things that we can do that
that's a great
are
segue into a
cost
thought I
saving.
just had, which is what is popular right now? What is the design people are looking for? Is it white cabinets?
Well,
Is it blue cabinets? Is it, what is it?
it changes so quickly. It depends on who you listen to, right? So, if you're going by, the design trends, right now the color is yellow and gray. I think was the color of the year, which that's not what buyers are looking for right now. What's selling are more earth tones. So we're seeing less of the everything gray that all the flippers and everything we're doing for a while. We're hitting
Yep.
more towards and it's really more of I think it's a comfort thing. People are looking for earthy and comfortable, and they're also spending a lot more time in their houses right now. So, we stage a lot of home offices, for instance, and but in terms of specific finishes and design styles and things like that, painted cabinets are still going to win over old oak cabinets every second of every day. Quartz countertops make a huge difference. Buyers right now, even I think more so than ever before, are looking for a move-in ready home as
Mhm.
opposed to we can fix it up because they're there all the time.
Yep. Yeah, I
So you
second
wouldn't
that. As
necessarily
far as
have
my
a
pre-approval conversations, they all want move-in ready. It's like,
Right.
move-in.
I want move-in
Okay.
ready. I don't want to deal with it. I just want to get
Yeah.
in.
So you
Yeah.
think so it's better to like replace it if you need to, rather than say, well, we'll give a credit of 4,000 so that the new buyer can choose their carpets. Better just to get it done.
No, I have this discussion with sellers all the time. That whole credit thing, and here's why. Having worked with buyers for years as a real estate agent, I know the thought process. The thought process is they walk in and they see the carpets and they're maybe gross, honestly, and or green shag or whatever, and they look at it and their broker says to them, yeah, but there's a $4,000 carpet, and they say it's going to cost $10,000. Experience of buyers is that we can always get things done with my contacts and the people that I use to get the remodeling and rehabs done for much less than a buyer thinks it's going to cost.
Right.
Aside from the fact that they don't want to deal with it. They want to be able to move their friends and move their family in, start working from home tomorrow in the office and not have to think about it.
Yep. I think that's a very real thing right now, and it doesn't look to be slowing down.
No,
Uh,
not at
yeah.
all.
So tell me, I like to get your inside information because stagers are kind of a leading indicator for me, right?
Oh,
That what does the spring market look like? So Kathy, you get to tell us how busy you are.
oh my
And
gosh. Um, is my hair on fire?
is
Because that's kind of
I
what
mean,
it feels like.
are you asking for more houses come to the market? Like,
We are seeing more inventory come on the market, thank goodness.
Yeah.
But from what I know, from what I've read, from what I hear, it's not going to be anywhere. It's not possible to be close to enough. But yes, more houses coming on the market, and I am about 4 times busier than I was this time last year and the year before.
Wow, that's
So it's significantly different. As you know, we're seeing a lot of sellers who want a bigger home. Now their kids are homeschooling. Mom and dad, if there's a mom and dad, are both working from home and they need offices. So we're seeing people move up. We're just seeing it's busy.
are you
yeah,
seeing more
good.
people move out? I know you work kind of the east side. Are you seeing more people move out of the cities, out your direction, or?
Yes, and we're seeing a lot of people even moving out of the state altogether. because they can. Probably
That's it. Yeah.
5 of the sellers I worked with last month were selling their home because they're moving to Montana or Idaho or Florida, or, they can go somewhere else for less money, quite honestly, and still work from home.
Yep. Yeah, that's a really interesting trend to be watching out as COVID, hopefully, knock on wood, comes to an
It
end.
is.
And
Yeah.
companies have pivoted. I mean, I think it's going to change the market. I was reading last week
Absolutely.
that Salesforce canceled almost 500,000 square feet of office space in downtown San Francisco because they're keeping their people at home. So I
Yes.
think that trend will definitely change the market. So
I-
I'm curious to see how that goes. So.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Well, tell us here, we're getting close to 30 minutes, and tell us kind of what are some major do not do's when it comes to staging your house?
Oh, gosh. Some major do not do's. Could we do major do's instead?
Yeah, let's do major do's then. Sure,
Can we put a more positive spin on
I
it?
like that.
That I tell sellers from the first moment I meet them, we're going to talk a lot about pre-packing and editing. Which, some people call it decluttering. I don't like to call people's things clutter. It's their life, right? But pre-packing. So I can't stress enough that all of the things that you have around, your personal photos, your little tchotchkes, your dried florals, all of those sorts of things, they need to go. We need to pack those up. They don't show up well in photographs. Whether we're staging, whether we're not staging, it's just really important. Aside from that, what I tell people, and it's absolutely true, is that when you get that offer immediately, you're going to be so glad you did this because you're not going to be running around going, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to get this all packed? So let's do it. Let's do it now so the photos show up great. That's one thing. Yeah, and I've had people call and say, oh, Kathryn, I'm so glad that we did that because now I don't have to go crazy about this. The second thing that is just huge, if you can, hire a professional. Buyers are looking everywhere and they want to see that your house is squeaky clean. And that's just not how we live normally. How we sell a house is different than how we live in a house. So pre-pack, edit things, make the rooms as large and spacious and bright as possible. Take those curtains off, open everything up, and make it really, really clean. Those are the big things that people can do that will make a huge difference.
That's great advice.
It's great advice.
The pre-packing, I love how that works because you're right. So many people come in and say, "Oh, you need to declutter," and I remember my very first house that I sold. I did. I took it personally. I'm like, my stuff's not clutter. What are you talking about?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I think that's just kind of rude, frankly.
I have a question. Stagers, I mean, you talked about how you hired someone just for the design element. Do you ever help people that aren't selling their houses that just want to make their home more beautiful?
We actually have quite a lot of people that are asking for that, and typically it's the seller that has moved out and already bought their house, and we come in and we stage it. And they love it, and they want us to come do that in their house that they're going to be moving into or living in, which is why I just made this new hire on my team, because not only is she going to do the owner occupieds, but she's an interior designer, has formal training, has done it for years, and she's going to work with those folks that just need some help in their new house.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I never even thought of that. That you made my house look so beautiful. Help me stage my new.
Come do it over here. Exactly, it happens a lot. It's the ultimate compliment, really.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And we have a question in the chat, Keith. I don't know if you want to pull it up.
Yep, there you go.
From Miss Jamie.
Price point. How is it set up? Is it a flat fee, percentage of property? How do the fees of staging work?
Okay, that's a good question. Well, for the consultations that we discussed, if that's what we're talking about. They're a flat fee of $350. And I spend up to 2 hours with the seller and provide them a written checklist. For the staging itself, the price depends on a number of things. It depends on the location. It depends on the size of the home, and it depends on the level of luxury required. And just to explain that, we're going to use different furniture in a $200,000. There aren't any $200,000 houses in Tacoma, but it used to be a $200,000 house in Tacoma.
Right.
Than we are in a $900,000 house in Issaquah, for instance. So it totally depends on those things. But to give more of a finite figure to it, minimum cost is between $2,100 and $2,400. And again, that would be for the basic rooms: living room, dining room, primary bedroom, kitchen, and bathrooms. And then goes up from there, depending again on location, level of luxury. How many rooms do we need to add? A playroom and a family room and an office, that sort of thing.
It used to be, I think, that staging prices varied based on how long it needed to be staged. I know that's not our market. Things are selling in a week.
It's not really our market anymore.
Yeah, it used to be like, this is the price for 1 month. If you need 90 days, it's
right.
X price.
And the prices that I just quoted are a 30-day price. And there are always options to renew 30 days at a time after that. I haven't had to do that for anyone in a really long time. But as you know, working with loans, sometimes things happen right before closing, and they've got to go back on the market. So yes, it's absolutely renewable. The additional cost monthly is about a third of the initial cost, because then it's just furniture rental.
So that triggered a quick question for me. When do you take the staging out? So you're under contract. Do you wait until like funding day and then you guys are pulling?
No, definitely. No. No. Yeah. I actually had for the first time someone call not very long ago and say, "Oh, they're closing early today." It's like, oh my God. We encourage sellers to wait until their contingencies have been satisfied. Which, today they might not have any contingencies, right? So, but in a more normal market, it's nice to have and accessories and everything in there, the staging for appraisal. And we for sure through inspection. So usually not longer than 30 days though.
Is this furniture that really you do house somewhere? Or are you going somewhere and renting it?
No, I have a warehouse that houses about 5,000 square feet worth of furniture, art, and accessories. So,
what if someone really wants something? Like, I want to buy this painting.
That happens. It depends. It depends on if I can replace it or if it's something irreplaceable that I use all the time. Normally, I will, of course, say yes. But what I've experienced is that people feel like it's going to be this great bargain because, you've used it. And the truth is, I have to go back out and spend the time and the money to replace it. So it sometimes isn't as much of a bargain as people would like it to be. In other markets, we have people that are buying second homes that buy the whole house full of furniture, art, and accessories.
Right.
Ours isn't like that as much.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I never even thought of that. So
I used to work for a builder, so I walked through their staged homes all the time, and they, it was always, as employees, we're waiting for that house to sell because employees got to buy the furniture when they were done using it. I mean, they didn't use it just for one house, but if they were using it for a couple of years or whatever, it would
definitely.
You can buy it.
Well,
it happens.
Kathryn, we're coming up on our 30 minutes. What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Email works fantastically well, and that's just info@firstimpressionsnw.com.
Okay.
And my phone number, calling or texting, is also fantastic, and I'm 253-219-7013. And for
Right.
all of our Seattle and East Side folks, don't be dismayed by the 253. It's a number I've had for 25 years. So, yeah.
People are funny with phone numbers. We'll have Keegan put that in the chat. I think it's in the
Fantastic.
private chat, so we'll have her put your contact info in there so people can
That
see.
sounds great. I so appreciate the Thank you,
Yeah,
guys.
we
We
appreciate you
appreciate you,
coming on.
Kathryn, and I know we rescheduled you, so appreciate your patience with us.
Oh,
And,
no problem at all. My pleasure.
Right on. Well,
right.
enjoy spring. It is here. Don't look outside.
It is here.
Spring is here.
It is.
Yet to make an appearance.
It pops in and out. It pops in and out. Yeah.
Right.
Thank
Well,
you
have a
guys
great
very,
day.
very much.
Our pleasure. Have a good one.
Thank you, Kathryn.
Well, there you have it. Stage it. So
I know.
we'll catch you guys next week. Stacy, you'll be flying solo because I'll be on a beach somewhere.
So jealous. So jealous, so mad, but I'm excited we're going to have the one and only Alec Hansen on.
Absolutely. Well, we'll catch you next Thursday at 10 a.m. Have a great one.